6'7", 22-year-old former Canucks defenseman Nikita Tryamkin has signed a deal with the HC Avtomobilist of the KHL. I'm surprised. Now, Nikita Tryamkin, he's a player that I believe he had a very much improved season with Vancouver. I remember going to the Jets game last year with the Canucks. It was at Rogers Arena, and seeing Tryamkin with all my friends practice on the ice before the game started, and we were all freaking out because we saw this giant on the ice. He just came over to Vancouver, and everyone was excited. Everyone was excited for the new 6'7" defenseman who was going to play for the Vancouver Canucks. It was almost like a Pavel Bure kind of thing. Of course, Tryamkin's not going to be a Pavel Bure, but the excitement for the Russian guy coming over to Vancouver was definitely there. There was so much hype around this guy, and he came to a few practices before actually playing a game, and when he played his first game, the crowd, they chanted his name, and it was great to watch. He looked like he was going to be a strong core defenseman for this team for years to come. I mean, he's a huge guy, and when he started playing, he was nimble and smooth. Although he didn't make the best decisions at times, nor did he get the ice time, he was still a good player to watch. Over time, in the 2015-16 season, he improved and he became great at boxing people out of the slot and not letting his size slow him down. I remember a specific game against LA where he was just going on Kopitar. He didn't allow him to get anything. This season, I think he improved tremendously as well, arguably the team's second or third best defenseman behind Troy Stecher, and arguably a younger guy like Ben Hutton. Now, he was a better skater than last year, and overall, he was more reliable as a defenseman. I was more pleased to see Nikita Tryamkin out there this year than I was last year, and last year I was pretty excited to see him. This year I'm just like, okay, good, he's out. It's upsetting, to see him go back to Russia, as the Canucks now have another hole in their projected defensive core of the future, but ultimately it was his decision, including, things like family, the Olympics, and, well, ice time. Unfortunately, I understand the ice time issue. He was complaining that he wasn't getting the ice time he felt like he wanted. He said that ice time, it will come to him if he plays in the KHL more, and he's just a kid who wants to play hockey. What more can you expect from that? I would have preferred it more myself if guys like Tryamkin were up there to 19 minutes a game instead of a guy like Luka Spiza. And I understand the tough guy issue that the Canucks put out on him, where they expected him to be a fighter, but he just wasn't like that. The Canucks sat him down and they said, hey, we want you to get into scraps, we want you to do this. And Tryamkin was like, what? That's not who I am, I just want to play hockey. I understand where that comes from, and I guess that could go under the whole issue of all fighting in the NHL. Personally, do what you want, but, don't force it on the guy, I guess. He's gone now, the decision is made, and the question is, what happens now? I, for one, think this is a direction that Benning will confront head-on. He'll get more free agent signees, more trades for potential D-men. The Canucks hold Nikita Tryamkin's rights until 2022, so an option is still available there, and maybe he's going to try to go for a guy like Darren Radish, or give a guy like Padan or Subban a call-up to the Canucks. I hear Padan's doing alright. I'd like to see Subban, hopefully. It's been too long. The goal here, I think, that Benning is going to try to achieve, now that Tryamkin is gone, he's just going to establish more security and gather more young talent for our back end. And I know that we've got some young guys down there. We got Ulevi, he's going to be a good defenseman. We got Cole Candela, he's going to be maybe a good defenseman. We got some other guys that we drafted as well, and really, if we take a look at it, if any of these guys have the success that Nikita Tryamkin has had, because, Tryamkin was a 66th overall pick 3 years ago, that's good. You want some NHL games out of the guys who you drafted in the third round. Now, sure, he wasn't overager when he was drafted. Sure, he had KHL experience when he was drafted, but he was still drafted pretty late into the draft. 66th overall isn't necessarily super high up there. It's not like we wasted a pick on this guy. And I think it was really foolish for some people to assume that this entire defensive core, this entire foundational piece of the Canucks' future, was built all around Nikita Tryamkin. Sure, he's going to be a good player, and he would have been a good player if he stayed with the Canucks. But I think people are overreacting to this. He's a good player, and I think he's going to be great. He would have been great if he was with the Canucks, but him leaving isn't like the end-all be-all, you know? Sure, I'm upset, and sure, the team would have been better with him, but it was his decision. It was his decision. He was a player that could have been a foundational piece moving forward, but a decision was made. He'll be in the KHL. Maybe he's just not interested in the NHL at all, and the Canucks, we gotta move forward. Move forward with our picks, grab some more players, the draft's coming up, you know? We might draft a young defenseman with our draft pick this year. Depends on what pick we get. Best player available is who I want, but I mean, whoever Benning wants. The Canucks, maybe in our later rounds, will draft some guy in the 3rd round just as good as our 66th overall pick in the 2014 draft. You know, unfortunately, players, they come and go, and the Canucks have seen this happen quite a bit with their younger players that are projected to do well. Either they get traded because they're just not nearly as good, like Jordan Schrader or Hodgson or Jensen. Some may even say Jared McCann. Or they just end up leaving like Tryamkin has. The Canucks, they will have to find a way to build around this and patch up the glaring 6'7" hole that was left in the Canucks' young defensive core. Hope you guys enjoyed this video for Boston Industrial Second Oscar and Gaming, and bye.